Hello and welcome to my tutorial video on how to fly stealth bombers in the war zone to clear supply caches and supply depots. Today I'm in the system of Devon in Essence, and this system has 2% advantage based on completed objectives. Advantage is a mechanic that indicates how much of a bonus multiplier you get once you're clearing complexes for your site. Right now, any Gallente clearing plexes in Devon would get 2% extra victory points toward contesting the system, which doesn't make sense at the moment because Devon is stable for the Gallente Federation, but you get my point. To hunt the supply caches and supply depots, I am using a Hound. Gallente supply caches and Gallente supply depots are armor tanked, and they are weak to explosive ammo, which the Hound luckily has a bonus to. At the moment, it looks like my range is 94 kilometers with Voldari Navy Nova and targeting range of less than 70. However, if I simulate this with my CBOS and my missile guidance computer, you can see that I have a targeting range up to 110 and a missile range up to 111. This will be very important, as I will demonstrate in a moment. What you want to do is you want to be cloaked in system, and you are going to warp to the signature at 100 kilometers. The reason why you do this is because there are enemy NPCs or rats swarming the depot, and their aggression radius is up to 100 kilometers. If you show up for the first time outside that radius, they will not aggress you, which is the whole shtick of doing these in a stealth bomber. So, as you can see, the signature is different from the actual supply depot. I have landed here at 99 kilometers. If I would have done this uncloaked, both these frigates and this cruiser would have started locking me, and I would have been unable to cloak. And if they were too close, they would have probably murdered me because I am not tanked. Once you orbit at range further than 100 kilometers, you can drop cloak, activate your CBOS and your missile computer, CBOS, and then you can start shooting the depot. I usually like to check if the warp pin contains some signatures. They do. Most of them are clustered behind me. So I'm going to activate my micro warp drive to get clear of them, so that anyone warping to the supply depot at 100 kilometers will land far enough away from me to cloak up again. At the moment there is only one neutral in system, and he does not show up on D-scan. So I think I am safe for the moment. We are starting to steer clear of the final signatures, which means that we can stop using our micro warp drive in a moment, and from then on it is clear cruising until we have killed the supply depot. Getting to the shields is usually the hardest part because those are quite tanky when it comes to explosive. But then we slowly get into armor and we start doing our full damage. We are going to overheat a little bit to make this go faster. Normally it takes about half our clip to kill a depot, which means we can string two together. A system can spawn up to 4 depots or caches at a time for a certain faction, provided the system has enough advantage to go around. Devon at the moment only has 2 surplus advantage, which means that it can only spawn 1 supply depot. If the supply of advantage had been 8 or 10, for example, the system would have been able to spawn 4 caches, and if there is even more advantage, if enough time passes, once you kill the first one of those 4, the 5th one will spawn right as soon as the first one dies. This way you can string up to 5 supply depots or supply caches in a certain system. Let us just disable overheat before we burn out our modules. If you string 5 of these together, once you're lucky, you can rack up to 75k LP in a very short amount of time, while you are also very slippery to catch. I have killed the depot. You can see it has dropped out of the overview immediately, and I am free to cloak up again. Meanwhile, anyone that warps in all the way from there to maybe somewhere there on grid, 30, 40 kilometers away from me. So even if they warp in, I can just cloak up, wait until they get bored, or maybe overshoot me, because they will always try to approach in a straight line. And my orbit will make them miss at that distance. So this is very low risk activity if you know what you're doing. However, keep an eye out for the hunters, because some very seasoned PvP players, if they see a bomber in the war zone, they will know that you're clearing depots. They will hunt you down because they know how to warp to 100. They will know to bring maybe cloaked ships, so they can come on grid with you and decloak right at the moment when they're next to you. And as we all know, as soon as someone starts locking you, you can't cloak up again to get away. Anyway, I hope this will help you clear supply depots or supply caches in safety, and I wish you all glory to the Caldari State.